while we have the drive in front of us, this is a brand new drive. We can do an unboxing. If you haven't had one of these before and you're used to the old size hard drives, these things can kill a person. It's so heavy, actually. It's hard. This one, it's light. So we don't go overboard with the operating system in size. You do get massive sizes of these as well, but this is a 250. It is the Samsung VNAND SSD, and it is the 860 EVO. Now they are a bit more pricier than the other SSD out there, but reviews and tests done on these drives make them one of the best in the top. So if you want to spend on an operating system while gaming, this is going to last you a long time and it's going to make a huge difference. The write and reads of these Samsung EVOs are immense. So what you have in here is everything is sealed. Samsung is so meticulous with everything they do. It's just your installation guide for your SSD. We know how to install them. I'm not going to open that. It can stay like that, nice and neat. And that is your SSD, your new drive. So it just is in this plastic. It goes out. That thing is so tiny, so thin and flat, and it stores 250 gigs of hard drive. The hard drive here is an 80 gig Seagate Barracuda. So this is 250 gigs versus 80 gigs of Seagate Barracuda madness. These drives used to be beasts. We used to run these 80 gigs in SATA RAID configurations, made them so fast and brilliant drives though. But I mean, that is a huge difference in size and in weight and in speed. These things are extremely fast. This, if you want to do any sort of upgrade on your system and you don't have a SSD, get a SSD. It touches every aspect of your PC. The startup is faster. Loading into Windows is super fast. I mean, in games even, which is supposed to be controlled by, I would say, your network speed. So in situations where we are playing CSGO competition and we have 5 players and we're on Discord and we're chatting with each other and this game loads into the comp where you have your first initial just running around and warming up around. With this puppy, the people that's first into the warm-up round is the people running SSDs. Mostly, I'm always first or second, and the other guys that comes in is like, yo, what line are you running? What fiber do you have at home? And it's like, no, it's not the fiber, dude. It's the SSD. I actually run a very slow internet speed. I run off a 4 megabyte Wi-Fi connection because I live in a rural area. They don't have fiber here. So this puppy gets me into games faster than players with fiber connections. So it just shows. I mean, I would vote for your internet speed is the one that would get you faster into your comp. No. This puppy drops me in first every time. It is so fast, so your games load faster, your copying of files, it's just crazy. This is one of the best upgrades you can do to any PC, laptops even. It's the same size about, this is a laptop hard drive, and it's even thinner than the laptop hard drive, but it fits there. This is a great upgrade for your PC. It's a great upgrade for a gaming PC. It's a great upgrade for a laptop. It's really a seriously great product. So if you don't have this, get this. It's really the best upgrade you can do to your system, and it's not that expensive. You don't have to go buy a new motherboard, CPU, new memories. Get one of these. It's good. Next, what we're doing is we're putting this in a PC. We're going to clone the old drive and clone it onto this drive, and then the old drive is coming out. So this will then be the main drive in that system. Unfortunately, we can't actually bench it because it would be benched against the same drive, because the drive in that PC is exactly the same, just a smaller size. So we already know that it's brilliantly fast and it's solid in that system. So owner just wanted more capacity, and so this is what we're doing. Lifespan of these things, they do have a lifespan, unfortunately, and it's not as good as the old, that Barracuda drive. They do have a certain amount of reads and writes on it, but there's some tweaks that you could do. The best one that we tried is where you leave a certain percentage of this drive not formatted. So it has like space at the back of it, sort of, you can call it like that. It has open space and it's not using the drive to its full maximum capacity. And that kind of works in some strange reason. I don't know why. So we normally go like a 10% of your drive. Some people say you should go higher, 25. That is a bit overkill for me. It's just, that is too much. I mean, it's a quarter of the drive. So we do a 10% of the drive as just leaving some headroom there. They do last longer that way. I don't know why. It just does.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So now we're on the desktop. We're doing the SSD on, and plugged it in, started Windows up, and as you can see, we have the message in disk management. Now you have to go into disk management, and it's easy. Just at the search bar here at the bottom, you will just type in disk management, and then basically it will give you create format hard disk partitions. You just click on that and you'll basically end up in disk management. Now in disk management, it will pick the new drive up as something that's not allocated space yet, and it wants to format and allocate drive letters to it. But what we start is the new simple, or let's just cancel this. So that is what you will see. It's unallocated space, and you'll right click onto that and say you want to create a new simple volume. If you click on that, it'll give you welcome to the new simple volume wizard, and then you click next, and then it gives you the maximum disk space in megabytes and the simple volume size in megabytes. Now those two would always be the same if you start out. With an SSD, I would suggest that you give it like 10% headroom. That just, out of tests that we've run, it seems that that prolongs the life of your SSD, and it allows it to work harder and longer. So we'll give it a 10%. Now, if you don't know what's the 10% of that, it's quite easy actually. Just go to search bar again and say calculator. It should come up very fast. You click on calculator, it's already installed on your system, and then you basically put in that amount that it gives you there, which is 28458. That's your drive size it's giving to you, and then you say minus 10, and there's a percentage sign. Click on it and equals. So that number that it gives you there is the number that you will put into the simple drive. So you can just highlight it and delete it and then press your brilliant calculation skills into it and then saying next. Now Windows will now assign a drive letter to this drive so that it can work in the system you just plugged it into. And we can say next, and then it will ask you, do you want to format this drive? And well, it's nothing wrong with that. You have choices here. We run NTFS, and that's default. And the volume label, you can basically call that anything you want to. I will do, let's say, Windows 10. And then you have perform the quick format and enable file and folder compression. So I normally select both of them. Some people don't like the file and folder compression. If you don't select the quick format, it's going to take very long, and this is a clean drive, so it shouldn't yet. If you click next, it just gives you what you have told it to do, and it wants to find out, are you sure you want to do this? And we're like, yeah, man, I know what I want in my life. And boom, fast as that. We have a new drive. It's ready for action. It's clean. And now what we want to do is you got to do a couple of things on your system. Unfortunately, I'm running streaming software now, so you don't want anything to run on the system while you're doing the cloning of the drives. So normally go down to the bottom here and then just look at what's running on your system. Like that is Avast, that is antivirus. We don't want that to run while we're doing clone, because it might pick up that, hey, someone is trying to hack this boy, I'm going to stop it. We don't want the cloning to stop, right? Okay, and then also if you go here, you have a button here that says expand. You click on that and then it says airplane mode. Now this is very handy. It will shut down the networks, it will shut down incoming and outgoing traffic. You will basically go into like a silent mode in your Windows, but that's what we want. So we'll put on airplane mode, we'll disable our antivirus software and any other program that's running in your taskbar or in this section. Yeah, so that's only my Avast. I disabled Steam, I disabled Epic Game Launcher, anything that can suddenly just access the drive. We don't want that. We want a nice smooth process, because if something disrupts the cloning will cease and it will give you an error. Now there's another thing that you could actually do. If you go down to search, you press in CMD, you get command prompt, but you can only run this command from administrator. So either you go to the left here and say run as administrator, or you just right click on it and say run as administrator. It will ask you, then it will ask you, do you want to run it as administrator? Because Windows don't think you quite certain about things you want to do using Windows. But anyway, now we're administrator in command prompt, and then you will run a command check disk, but we're using the abbreviation for it, so it's not going to be full check, it's going to be CHK and then DSK for disk, and we hit enter. Now what this is going to do is going to check our disk for any errors, and if we see any errors, we run the same command again, only with space, / and F. What that then does is it goes through this check this process again, but when it finds errors, it would automatically fix them. Now you see I get this message, Windows has scanned the file system and found no problems. So that is already great news. Because if you do cloning and there's an error on the disk, it's not that it will clone the error, it's just going to stop the process and say that it can't continue. So sometimes people with huge disks, as you can see, this is like a 250 gig, but people with like 4 terabytes and huge SSDs, they leave this process overnight because it can take anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 to 4 hours depending on the size you're cloning. Now if that drive has a error and you leave it overnight, next morning you come here, the only thing that you greeted with is that clone disk has failed or it's stopped because of an error, please fix errors. So we already now sorted that out. We know our drive doesn't have any errors. We're going to close any program. So when I'm doing the cloning, I'm going to, okay, it's in my face no more. Okay, you just hold on. No, it's just hold on. You'll live through this, right? You'll make it. Okay, next thing, I'll put links to these programs in here. I'm running Samsung. So Samsung has a data migration software. If you don't have a Samsung, there's different apps. I'll also link to one that I've used with Seagate. It doesn't matter the brand, it just would assist you in cloning. So if you don't have a Samsung, I'll link that. If you have the Samsung, it's called Data Migration. It's a free download from Samsung itself, and it's a small program. It's fast. You just install it. After you've installed it, you can basically just open it up, and it will tell you then that we see this drive as your select a drive, and you can drop down, and it only gives me that option because that is the C. And then it says the details of the drive, the name, the size, and blah blah blah. And then you get the target drive that you want to use. So here we put in the 250 gig one, and this drive is formatted. We did the format, we did the check disk, we're going to do closing of all the programs. So we're taking precautions to ensure that this process runs smoothly and we don't have issues or error afterwards. And then it basically just does it once. Okay, so as the software says, it has a start. The older migrations, you had to like click on this and then drag it over to here, and it had slots where you had to put it into. The new version just basically shows you that's the drive you want, that's the drive you have, right? And we're like, yeah. And it's like, where do you want to put it? We're like, this one. And it's like, then start. Then we start. But you're not going to join me when I press start, because the software we're using currently is going to kill our process. So guys, if there's anything freaky, I'm going to go full cell phone mode, close up, you'll be there. You'll see it. Yeah, you'll see it. Don't you be worried. Don't you worry, child. Okay, so see you soon, guys.
A few moments later.
Okay, so like I said, I won't leave you behind. Don't you worry. But this is how the app actually looks while it's doing its cloning. It shows you a bar at the bottom for the process it's taking and how much percentage is done already. It depends on the size that you're actually cloning. It's not a standard time it will take. It's all reliant on how much data you have for it to clone. So I try to clean out the disk as much as I can and copied over downloads to another drive. So it's not that much it needs to clone, so it should take less than 30 minutes, I suspect.
Like I said, other people, when they're cloning 3 terabytes of data, that can take overnight. So this is how it looks, guys. We're still in the clear, but like I said, if you do the precautions and you do all the things right, also task manager, just go pop in there and see if there's not something running in the background. And then airplane mode, switching off your antivirus and firewalls and stuff, and then this process will complete fully the first time and you don't have to do it again. So I hope I see you at the end of this, and then we go to the next step of the process.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So our drive is done. We have cloned and we're currently working on the new clone drive. So after you finish that process, basically what you should do is just plug out your original drive and let the PC boot from the new clone drive. So you'll just need to go into the BIOS and also just tweak it there, saying that the new drive is this one. So when you start up Windows, it just starts up automatically because Windows believes the clone that is now in there, because it's an exact copy of what was running Windows previously. So didn't have any issues, didn't have to register anything else. The screen you're basically seeing, everything just came back. Even my downloads and my web pages I was browsing just all came back. It's like I just restarted the machine according to Windows. So it's very fast. There's no issues. You can really go ahead and do it. After I've done all of that, I installed a program called Samsung Magician, as you can see on screen now. It is brilliant. Do get it if you have a Samsung drive. I'm sure other manufacturers should have something similar to this, but this is brilliant. It shows you the drive health. Currently it's brand new, so it's good. It shows you the temperature. This drive is currently doing 29 degrees Celsius, which is awesome. And then it just shows you the total volume of the drive, basic information like you could have seen in Windows. If you go to performance benchmark, here you can actually select a drive, any one of the drives. That's why I think this program should actually work with different manufacturers, because it's picking up a Western Digital here, Seagate. So then you can basically benchmark your hard drive now. I've done one just after I've done this process, and it shows the read as 552, the write as 519, and then it has the big reads and writes on this side. So you can actually, I'm sure, copying this and then matching your performance to other SSDs. You also have a diagnostic scan which can go through your whole drive. This is basically for when you have problems with your drive. This one is still brand new, so there's nothing. You get a short scan, you get a full scan, and then a smart self-test. And yeah, like I said, you can go through that. But the thing is, you can do it for any drive on the system. So the older ones also, you can run through this. It will show you if there's bad sectors, which is the bad and which is the good ones. Like we did in the beginning, remember I said the 10% thing, it will enhance your drive. It'll basically make it last longer. This app actually has it in there, so meaning that if you're running Samsungs, you don't have to do that in the beginning for your drive. You can actually just use the full capacity of the drive when you do the clone, and then afterwards then you use Samsung Magician, and here you just tell it the percentage of your, they actually call it the over provisioning. You just come in here and you put in 10%, and it will automatically take 10% of your drive, which it already has, because I've done it before this process, saying that there's 23 gigs of 10% provisioning done. And like the description here says,
it allocates a certain capacity of the SSD to an available space to improve the performance and the lifetime of the SSD. Note, data may be damaged if it is in a raw partition. So it already picks up that I have an over provisioning drive there, and it shows that it's unallocated. So this is brilliant. This program does that for you, and then you have some performance optimization settings here, which does rapid mode, enhance overall system performance, which you can put on or off. And also you have in Windows 8 or higher, you can click optimize drives. Now if you click on optimize drives, it's basically like you would do in my computer, where you would go to a specific drive you want to, and right clicking and press left click, and then you go to either the disk cleanup. These are all processes you normally do to speed up your Windows actually. And you have under the Tools tab the error checking, and then there it is, optimize and defragment the drive. So if you click on optimize, now it's the same thing as optimize drive. It actually goes through the same process where you can select a drive and it will show you all my drives are currently okay. It's been 1 day since it's been, so this picks up when you even did it before the clone, because now this whole thing believes that it is the original drive. So not a difficult process, brilliant thing to do if you're upgrading. And like I said, I would link to this app as well, because it's really handy, and it can keep your drive nice, clean, fresh, and super fast. But anyway, if there's any questions about this process, anything you don't understand, if you're scared before you start, because I mean, this could be, you could lose everything on my drive. No, cloning is it's safe. It's really safe, except if the drive that you're cloning from or cloning to already is an older drive or it's damaged. Then yes, if you have bad sectors on that drive, it might mess up the whole process. But normally that cloning app you use will tell you that, listen, there's something wrong, I'm going to stop this process. So you won't lose anything. Go ahead, take the plunge, man, not a problem. If you're worried about it, like I said, pop in a comment down below, ask away, and we'll get you on your way to cloning your drive, no problem. For people like the all-in-one systems where the whole computer is into the screen, or a laptop, you can also do this process. I've done it on a laptop, where we actually upgraded the laptop because it had a normal HDD drive in, so wanted to give it some speed. And best way to boost any computer, any laptop, is just to pop in a SSD. You know, people used to hang around this thing like, no man, double the memory, or like pop in more memory there. If you don't have a SSD in there, just pop a SSD in. I've done these tests with people that do normal computer work at offices, and it's like, we need to improve this computer. It's so slow. But if people said like, get memory, you know, so we have this amount of memory, let's double that or something. And it's like, do you have a SSD? It's like, we don't even know what a SSD is. Like, okay, check the system, pop in a SSD there. It's like, whoa, how much memory did you put in here? This thing is flying. It's not the memory, it's the read and the write of the drive. So on a laptop, or those all-in-one systems, like I said, the ones that's back of the screen, the whole screen is a computer basically, get external drive bay or those external enclosures. I use an external enclosure, I just make sure that it is a USB 3 compatible, because otherwise it's going to take forever. Now what you do is you pop the new SSD into that external enclosure, and then you put that into your USB port, and you basically clone from the original drive inside to the external drive now. So that program does allow for that. It does allow to clone to external drives. So that is brilliant. You pop in the new drive that's going into the PC, like we did with the laptop, is we cloned the laptop hard drive to the external enclosure, and then when it was finished, switched off the laptop, took out the hard drive, and took the drive out, just popped it into the laptop, and Bob started it again, and it believed that that SSD was there forever. So if you have something like that, then you just get those enclosures. They're not that expensive, but that's the way to go if you have a device that don't allow for multiple hard drives in the device. Get an external enclosure. I would also link to that video of the one that I'm using. It's like I said, it's sort of like a cheaper one, but it works, and we have tested it. Drive's been in and out popping there. It's just brilliant, and I'll put the link to where you could get that as well. So I think that should cover it then. Well, thanks for watching, guys. If there's, like I said, anything, ask away. I will get down to your comments as fast as I can. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow. We're trying to get this ball rolling. We will put out as much content as we can. We'll see which content does better, and then try aiming in that direction.
So, if you have any questions, if you haven't yet, you better subscribe, because there's going to be good stuff. And hit the like button if you found this helpful. And keep gaming, man. See you out there.